2025 is the year retail falls to its knees. We're not talking about minor players or local mom-and-pop shops. You can forget the little guys. This time, it's the giants. The cornerstones of American shopping. The places you grew up visiting. The brands you trusted to always be there are in full collapse. From household names to niche favorites, the retail landscape is unraveling at breakneck speed, and the economic carnage is impossible to ignore. Inflation, crushing it all, e-commerce eating them alive. And let's not forget skyrocketing rents, ruthless competition, and consumers tightening their wallets to survive. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just some blip on the radar. No, this is the retail apocalypse in full swing, and the closures? They're happening faster than most of us can even keep up. What's behind the chaos? A toxic cocktail of bad management, outdated strategies, and an economy that's squeezing both businesses and their customers dry. These aren't small-scale trims. This is the chopping block, and your favorite stores are on it. So buckle up, because these 15 massive retailers shutting down stores in 2025 might just include the places you thought were untouchable. Let's dive into the carnage. 15. Best Buy. Once the undisputed king of electronics, Best Buy has announced the closure of 60 locations in 2025, signaling a massive shift in how consumers buy gadgets and tech gear. This tech giant, synonymous with Black Friday lines and high-definition showrooms, has been pummeled by online competitors. Amazon, Walmart, and even refurbished tech sellers have carved away at their market share. Their 2024 financial report painted a grim picture. A 12% decline in same-store sales and a double-digit drop in foot traffic. The main culprit? Consumers increasingly prefer the convenience of online shopping. Why trek to a store when you can click Add to Cart? But Best Buy's woes go deeper. Inflation has put the squeeze on discretionary spending, meaning fewer people are dropping $1,000 on a new TV or laptop. Supply chain issues from 2023 also lingered into 2024. Delaying shipments and frustrating shoppers. The closures primarily target underperforming stores in suburban markets, leaving vast gaps in local access to tech repair and expertise. Employees face the brunt of this collapse, with thousands bracing for layoffs or relocations. Best Buy is banking on its e-commerce strategy and Geek Squad services to weather the storm. But the question remains, can they survive in an era where brick-and-mortar tech stores are becoming extinct? 14. Dick's Sporting Goods. If you're a fan of Dick's Sporting Goods, brace yourself. 40 locations are closing by the end of 2025. The company's high inventory costs and reliance on discretionary spending have made it a casualty of the retail apocalypse. With inflation driving up costs and thinning customer wallets, fewer families are splurging on premium athletic gear and outdoor equipment. According to their 2024 annual report, same-store sales fell 8%, with significant losses in key markets like Florida, Texas, and California. Meanwhile, competitors like Academy Sports and even Walmart's outdoor sections are capitalizing on budget-conscious shoppers. Online giants such as Amazon and REI are also luring customers away with broader selections and competitive pricing. The closures are not random. They are targeting smaller markets where sales have nosedived. For local communities, this means losing one of the few places where sports teams, hobbyists, and parents could buy quality gear. Employees, too, are feeling the pinch. Each location employs 50 to 80 workers, many of whom face layoffs or transfers. As Dick's pivots to smaller store formats and a stronger online presence, it's clear the once dominant sporting goods chain is on thin ice. 13. Target. Yes, even the beloved Target isn't immune to 2025's retail carnage. This retail darling plans to close 35 locations, mostly in urban areas where profitability has plummeted. Target's woes stem from rising theft and inventory shrinkage, an issue they reported cost them $600 million in 2024 alone. Couple this with inflation-weary consumers scaling back on non-essential spending, and you've got a recipe for disaster. The closures are hitting major metropolitan areas like Chicago, San Francisco, and New York City hardest, sparking outrage from loyal shoppers. Many of these stores have served as community hubs, offering groceries, clothing, and home goods all under one roof. For employees, it's a devastating blow. Each location employs over 100 workers, many of whom will be left scrambling for jobs. Despite these closures, Target insists it's doubling down on online sales and smaller format urban stores. But can they truly replace the Target experience that millions love? With foot traffic declining and competition from both Walmart and Amazon growing fiercer, the future of Target's brick-and-mortar empire looks uncertain. 12 Nordstrom, the upscale department store known for its exceptional customer service and curated fashion, is closing 25 locations by the end of 2025. Nordstrom's problem? Their middle to upper-class target audience is tightening purse strings in the face of inflation and economic uncertainty. While the store's online sales have grown, foot traffic in their sprawling department stores has dropped dramatically, down 18% in 2024 alone according to their financial filings. The closures will primarily affect locations in underperforming malls, many of which have become ghost towns. Nordstrom Rack stores, which cater to bargain hunters, are faring slightly better, but not enough to offset the losses. For employees, the impact is catastrophic. Each full-sized store employs hundreds of workers, from stylists to warehouse staff. The closures also leave many communities without access to higher-end fashion, forcing customers to turn to online alternatives or abandon the brand entirely. Nordstrom's leadership insists they're focusing on their digital strategy and flagship locations, but whether they can sustain their reputation for luxury and quality in a shifting retail landscape remains to be seen. 11 CVS Pharmacy. Your neighborhood CVS is about to get a lot less convenient. The pharmaceutical giant announced plans to shutter 300 stores by the end of 2025, a continuation of its 2021 strategy to cut 900 locations over several years. Why? The company is attempting to restructure for the future, but let's be real, it's hemorrhaging under the weight of rising rents, operational costs, and the digital healthcare revolution. CVS reported a 5% drop in same-store sales in 2024, with fewer people walking through their doors for everyday essentials like shampoo, snacks, or prescription refills. Amazon's aggressive push into online pharmacy services is eating away at CVS's core business. Add in inflation driving up drug prices, reduced insurance reimbursements, and fewer high-margin beauty product sales, and the retail chain is in survival mode. The closures will primarily target underperforming locations in suburban and rural areas, cutting off convenient access for many communities. For smaller towns, losing a CVS isn't just inconvenient, it's a healthcare crisis. These stores often serve as the only nearby pharmacy, and their departure forces residents to drive long distances for medication. Thousands of employees, pharmacists, cashiers, and store managers are bracing for layoffs or transfers, highlighting yet another casualty in the retail war zone of 2025. 10. Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond is doing what it does best, disappearing. The company filed for bankruptcy in 2023, and its slow collapse continues into 2025 with another 100 store closures on the horizon. At this point, the brand has become synonymous with liquidation sales and barren shelves. The home goods retailer has struggled to stay relevant in a world dominated by Amazon, Target, and Wayfair, all of which offer better prices and faster shipping. The chain's missteps are legendary: a failure to embrace online sales early, disastrous attempts to launch private label brands, and relentless couponing that eroded profit margins. According to its 2024 earnings report, Bed Bath & Beyond's sales plummeted another 20%, and inventory turnover reached an all-time low. The closures will hit suburban strip malls hardest, leaving communities without a go-to destination for kitchen gadgets and cozy bedding. Employees are understandably demoralized. Many have seen this coming for years, but it doesn't soften the blow. With each store employing 50 to 100 workers, that's thousands more retail jobs disappearing in a brutal economy. For the die-hard fans still clutching expired 20% off coupons, the writing is on the wall. Bed Bath & Beyond is headed straight to the retail graveyard. 9. GameStop, the gaming retailer that once ruled your childhood mall, is closing 150 locations in 2025. GameStop has been on a death spiral for years, kept afloat briefly by its meme stock status in 2021. But even that fleeting fame couldn't save it from market realities. Digital game downloads and subscription services like Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus have made physical game stores increasingly obsolete. GameStop's attempts to pivot into PC gaming hardware and collectibles have fallen flat, with these categories contributing less than 10% of overall revenue in 2024. Their same-store sales dropped by 14% and foot traffic has cratered, leaving most stores looking like ghost towns. The closures will disproportionately affect mall locations, further accelerating the decline of shopping centers nationwide. For employees, it's a harsh blow. GameStop relies heavily on part-time staff, many of whom are gamers themselves, now left scrambling for new jobs. For gaming enthusiasts, the loss is bittersweet. GameStop may have been overpriced, but it was also a cultural hub, a place to geek out with fellow fans. With 150 more closures coming, it's clear GameStop is nearing its final game over screen. 8. Bath & Body Works, your favorite place for seasonal candles and body sprays, is scaling back in 2025, closing 85 stores across the U.S. Despite being a staple in malls for decades, Bath & Body Works is facing the same challenges as other specialty retailers: declining foot traffic and shifting consumer preferences. While their online sales are strong, their 2024 report revealed an 11% dip in in-store sales, with customers citing inflation and rising rent prices as reasons for cutting back on discretionary spending. The closures are targeting underperforming locations, especially in secondary malls and strip centers. For fans of their iconic products, think warm vanilla sugar and eucalyptus spearmint, this means fewer places to browse and sniff. The company is banking on its loyalty program and e-commerce platform to offset these losses, but the charm of Bath & Body Works has always been the sensory experience of visiting the store. Employees, many of whom are part-time, face uncertain futures with no guarantees of transfers to other locations. This wave of closures marks another chapter in the decline of mall culture, as even the most iconic stores struggle to justify their brick-and-mortar presence in today's cutthroat retail environment. 7. Abercrombie & Fitch. The once iconic teen retailer is closing 60 stores in 2025 as it continues its years-long struggle to reinvent itself. Once the epitome of cool for high schoolers, Abercrombie has failed to regain its footing after the downfall of mall culture. Their 2024 financial report showed a 7% drop in revenue, with foot traffic continuing to decline despite attempts to refresh their brand image. The closures will target locations in struggling malls and underperforming suburban areas, leaving many customers without access to the brand. Abercrombie has shifted focus to its online platform and smaller boutique-style stores in urban markets. But the transition hasn't been smooth. Rising costs for labor and materials, coupled with inflation, have made their already expensive clothes even less accessible for the average shopper. For employees, the closures are devastating. Each store employs dozens of young workers who will now be left looking for new jobs in a challenging retail job market. Abercrombie's once ubiquitous logo hoodies and cologne-scented stores may soon become nothing more than nostalgic memories for a generation that has moved on to fast fashion giants like Shein and Zara. 6. Home Depot. Even the DIY king is not immune to 2025's retail bloodbath. Home Depot plans to close 50 stores nationwide by the end of the year. The closures come as a surprise to many, considering the chain saw record sales during the pandemic's home improvement boom. But those golden years are over. Rising inflation and soaring interest rates have crushed the housing market, leaving fewer people investing in major renovations or big-ticket DIY projects. According to Home Depot's 2024 financial report, same-store sales dipped 5%. Marking their first decline in over a decade. The targeted closures are mostly in secondary markets where foot traffic and sales have fallen sharply. The impact will ripple beyond just the employees. Many of these stores serve as critical suppliers for contractors, tradespeople, and small businesses. Losing a Home Depot isn't just inconvenient, it disrupts the local economy. Each store employs between 100 and 200 workers, meaning thousands of jobs are on the line. For Home Depot, the strategy is clear: trim the fat and focus on online sales and urban markets. But as they downsize, the question remains: can Home Depot sustain its dominance when even its most loyal customers are scaling back? 5. Walmart. Yes, even the retail titan is closing stores. Walmart has announced plans to shutter 25 locations in 2025, focusing on underperforming urban and suburban stores. While Walmart remains the largest retailer in the world, its profit margins are being squeezed by inflation, supply chain issues, and increased competition from dollar stores and e-commerce platforms like Amazon. According to their 2024 earnings report, same-store sales grew only 2%, far below expectations, and foot traffic in low-income areas has seen a noticeable decline. The closures are targeted at locations that have failed to generate consistent profit, with some stores reporting double-digit sales drops. For communities losing their Walmart, it's more than just losing a store. It's losing access to affordable groceries, household essentials, and pharmacy services. These closures are particularly devastating in rural areas where Walmart often serves as the primary retailer. Each location employs hundreds of workers, many of whom will face unemployment or the uncertainty of relocating to other stores. Walmart is doubling down on its e-commerce strategy and expanding delivery services, but it's clear that even the retail giant is feeling the pinch in a challenging economic climate. 4. Kroger, the largest supermarket chain in the U.S., is set to close 40 stores in 2025. Despite their scale and dominance, even Kroger is struggling with the brutal combination of inflation and shrinking profit margins. Their 2024 financial report revealed that rising operational costs, particularly for labor and energy, have cut deeply into their bottom line. Add to that the competitive pressure from discount grocery chains like Aldi and Lidl, and you've got a recipe for closures. The targeted locations are in lower-performing markets where foot traffic has declined, often in areas with overlapping Kroger-owned brands. For shoppers, this means losing access to fresh produce, pharmacy services, and other essentials, particularly in areas already classified as food deserts. Each closure also impacts dozens of workers, from cashiers to store managers. Kroger is investing heavily in automation and digital grocery solutions such as online ordering and delivery, but critics argue that this shift comes at the cost of community-focused retail. The closures are yet another sign that even grocery stores, long considered recession-proof, are now vulnerable to economic headwinds. 3. Dollar Tree. The beloved discount chain is shutting down 100 stores in 2025, a move that shocked many loyal bargain hunters. Dollar Tree, once seen as an economic lifesaver for struggling families, is now grappling with its own financial woes. The chain raised prices on many items to $1.25 in 2022. And inflation has since driven costs even higher, alienating core customers who rely on ultra-cheap goods. The closures are concentrated in areas where competition from other discount chains like Dollar General and Family Dollar, which is owned by Dollar Tree, has cannibalized sales. According to their 2024 financial report, same-store sales dropped 8% with sharp declines in discretionary items like seasonal decorations and home goods. Each store employs 20 to 30 workers, meaning thousands of jobs are at risk. The closures will hit low-income communities hardest, as Dollar Tree often serves as a primary source for affordable food and household items. While the company is attempting to pivot toward larger combo-style stores and more e-commerce options, the loss of these locations is a harsh blow to struggling families. 2. Rite Aid. The pharmacy chain that's been a fixture in many neighborhoods is closing 150 locations in 2025. Rite Aid filed for bankruptcy in late 2024, crushed under the weight of massive debt, legal liabilities related to the opioid crisis, and declining sales. According to court filings, the chain owes billions to creditors and faces numerous lawsuits, making closures a necessary part of its survival strategy. For many communities, losing a Rite Aid means losing convenient access to prescriptions, vaccines, and basic health products. The closures are targeting low-performing locations, many in areas where they compete directly with Walgreens or CVS. For employees, it's another wave of layoffs. Thousands of workers will be displaced, many with little notice. Rite Aid has promised to focus on high-performing stores and expand its digital offerings, but the chain's future looks bleak. Analysts predict that more closures may follow as the company attempts to stabilize. 1. Starbucks. Shockingly, even Starbucks is scaling back in 2025, with plans to close 200 locations worldwide, including 50 in the U.S. While Starbucks remains a global powerhouse, the closures highlight the growing challenges in the food and beverage sector. Rising costs for coffee beans, milk, and labor have squeezed profit margins, and foot traffic in urban areas has yet to recover fully from the pandemic. The closures are focusing on underperforming urban and suburban locations, particularly in areas with high operational costs. Starbucks is also experimenting with smaller drive-through-only stores, signaling a shift away from traditional cafe formats. For employees, this means job losses or relocation, as each store typically employs 15 to 25 workers. For loyal customers, it's another blow to their daily routine, losing their favorite spot to grab a latte and work remotely. Starbucks insists it's doubling down on its digital strategy and mobile ordering. But the closures are a stark reminder that even industry leaders are not invincible in today's challenging economy.